In this video, I'm going to be talking about the role of the mind and our belief system in our trading journey. So maybe a quick story first to illustrate just this power of the mind. During the last US levels group training session, we got off topic and we started talking about this 4-minute mile barrier. So it was believed that it is impossible for a human to run a mile in under 4 minutes. As a matter of fact, some physicians during the 30s and 40s believed that if one tried, one's heart would explode, and so it would not be possible to run a mile in under 4 minutes. And was it 1954? I believe there was a great book. I read a great book about this. Roger Bannister, I think his name was, runs a mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. Huge story. Ironically, he was a medical student, and he was actually told by some of his instructors not to even attempt. Don't even attempt this. It's dangerous. He ends up running a mile in under 4 minutes. I believe it was 1954. So the impossible became possible. Here is the interesting thing. So you would think a record like this would stand for a while after being considered impossible to achieve, right? Within 1 month, his record was broken by someone who ran a mile in 3 minutes and 57 seconds, breaking his record by 2 seconds. Within 1 year, there were 8 people who were able to run a mile in under 4 minutes. What happened? Is it that human evolution all of a sudden exploded? Humans just became faster? Was it some shoe technology that changed? No. Everything stayed the same. What happened was the mind accepted the same athletes that were able to run a mile in under 4 minutes within a year after Roger has his achievement. They were able physically to do it before 1954 or whenever that record happened, but their mind said it was impossible. Once we saw once it became a reality, yes, it is possible. Well, then, a whole bunch of people were able to achieve it, and now there are so many people who can run a mile in under 4 minutes. Of course, it's still an amazing achievement, but the point is, we went from the idea of it being impossible to 8 people doing it within 1 year after this idea was negated. In sports psychology and other branches of psychology, this event, for the first time, brought the idea that the body can achieve what the mind can believe. The body can achieve what the mind can believe. Every goal we set, every obstacle we wish to overcome, every change we would like to make, first must be accepted by the mind. We all know the saying, I'll believe it when I see it. Actually, it's the other way around. To see it, you have to believe it first. Everything you can accomplish physically, you have to first accomplish in your mind. The belief has to be there first. About 6 weeks ago, Ryan created 3 channels in the members area where subscribers could share their screen, audio, and just a way of communicating with each other. And one of our more successful traders, let's say, he posts all the time, asked me, is it okay if I share my screen and my trades with the community? He's receiving a lot of DMs from members asking about his approach. So he just said, well, can I just share my screen? I had some mixed feelings about that. My main concern was it is always more difficult to trade, and trading is difficult to begin with, when you are observed by other people purely from a psychological perspective. Obviously, your skills don't change, but there is an emotional aspect to being watched. All of a sudden, a losing trade is not only between you and you, now it's between you and X amount of people. Anyway, I said, no, I'm fine. I can do this. I said, well, go ahead. And sure enough, those of you who watched him first few days, he was not doing fine. So he came to me and said, wow, I don't understand. How can that be? How can I be doing so much worse when I'm trading in front of people than on my own? So we worked together. I gave him some pointers. He came back and started doing a lot better, but still shy of his goal. He even put it in the post a number of times, like, gee, I am shy of my goal. Again, we talked about it, what's going on? And the answer, of course, still, hey, this is all psychological. Again, we worked a little bit, he came back, he started to do better, but still not quite hitting his goal. So I asked him, okay, so what is the goal? What is it that you want? And he said, well, I want to demonstrate that, given everything you do here, I think it's possible to hit a $500 a day goal consistently. And this is a goal that I can reach in my own trading, but when I stream, I cannot do it consistently. So what happens here is this. Understand how your mind works, okay? When you have a $500 goal, now there is a figure in your head that you want your mind to accept, right? Before you can achieve the 500 a day or whatever amount it might be, this amount must be accepted by your mind as something that is possible. In this case, even though he was doing it in his own trading, when it came to streaming, there was a different element there, and his mind just had issues accepting the $500 target. When this happens, the solution is stretch to the point where the 500 becomes nothing. That's what you want to do. You want to, quote, fool your mind into accepting the 500 by focusing on a much larger figure. What I told him to do is, okay, write down a trading plan that would target 2,000 a day. And then there was some silence on the other side. And he said, I don't know if you heard me. I said 500. I said, no, I heard you. I want you to come up with a plan that targets 2,000. After some time, he got back to me, said, okay, I got it. We went over the plan, tweaked a few things, and all right, good to go. The next day, he started trading that plan. And he did not hit a $2,000 goal, but he did hit 600. And I think it was on Wednesday of this past week when he hit a $2,200 profit goal. So what happened there? What happened was the mind was now focused, his mind was focused on a $2,000 goal. Now that was the limit that the mind was seeing. The challenge was this $2,000 goal. Well, if the goal is a $2,000 goal, and again, it's something you have to believe you can do. I am not saying, say, like 50,000 a day and let's see what happens. No. It has to be not only a realistic goal, but you must be able to write a trading plan that would achieve that goal. So it's a very real thing. It's not some wishful thinking, all right? But because the mind was so focused on a $2,000 goal, the 500 became nothing. The $500 goal became so irrelevant that he had absolutely no issues now arriving at 500. And then he hit the 2,000 plus, and the following day he did not hit 2,000. He was back to like 500 and change there somewhere. It was really actually a very choppy day, but he still achieved his $500 goal even on a choppy day. And again, because his trading plan, his whole process was focusing on 2,000. He came short of the 2,000, but he achieved what he originally wanted to achieve. And this happened because he stretched, right? You take your goal and you stretch it. You go way beyond where you originally wanted to be. Not only must there be a plan, but you really have to believe that it's possible. And not just believe based on nothing, but believe based on the plan that you created. Now, he has been streaming all this, and again, the streaming is available in these channels. He's in one of these channels every day. But I must say this now. I do not recommend anyone copy someone else's trades. Not only is it next to impossible to do in real time, understand if you are copying someone else's trades, you are participating in their journey. But you cannot be a long-term, consistently profitable trader by being part of someone else's journey. You must create your own journey. As a matter of fact, it's not even a choice. You absolutely can only participate in your own journey. If you try to participate in someone else's journey, I do not believe you could be successful. I am yet to see anyone who is in some kind of a trading room and is long-term profitable. Can they, whatever, get lucky a few times, a couple of months, whatever, be able to copy some nice signals that someone else provides, enter here, exit here, whatever, maybe. But I don't believe it's a long-term solution. The point, and the reason I even agreed to this whole idea of streaming, is because what I wanted people to see, that was my goal when I agreed to this. I wanted other traders to see that it's possible. Because once they see that it's possible, my hypothesis was they'll be able to duplicate this kind of process, not copy his trades, but duplicate the process of being able to hold trades. And pretty much every day he holds 20, 30, 40 NASDAQ point trades, 30, 40, 50, 60 gold ticks. So my idea was, once people see that it's possible, their mind will accept that it's possible, and they will be able, in time, nothing is immediate, in time they will convince themselves enough that it's possible, and then they will be able to do it on their own. And sure enough, this past Thursday, I received an email from one of our traders who was kind of struggling. And he said for the first time, he was able to hold a NASDAQ trade for, I think he said it was 28 points or something. Whereas before, he would be like 2 or 3 points in the money and quickly get out. He was able to do that because he watched this trader do that, and he said, well, and he sees him doing it day in and day out, and said, you know what, fine, I can do it too. And there you go, he was able to hold on for 20 plus points, whereas before he was nowhere near that. And again, if you ask, but what happened there? What happened there was he saw what he saw, he realized it is possible, his mind accepted that it is possible, and then he did it. As far as his trading plan, he mainly combines US levels. He took the US levels course. He combines the US levels with HPS signals, and he does take a look at the levels from Trade Indications channel, where I update NASDAQ and S&P levels at around 7 a.m. Eastern. He also uses rotational risk allocation strategy. I made a video on that. It's in the members area. If you are a subscriber and you can't find it, just email me with your Discord name and I will just send you a link directly. I do recommend you at least take a look at the idea of rotational risk allocation, where you spread the risk across a number of accounts. So you're not just trading with one account, you are trading with 4, 5, 6, at least I would say 4, 5, 6 accounts, and you are rotating these accounts. You take a loss, you change an account, you reach a certain profit, again, you change an account, you move to the next one. This way, you are limiting your losses per account, and you are keeping the profits. The idea with rotational risk allocation, without going too deeply into it here, is to be overall net positive. That is the goal. It is possible that some of your accounts might end up being red, but the idea is overall you are net positive. And rotational risk allocation helps you achieve higher targets by rotating these accounts. One last thing before we move on to the 5-figure mindset. It is important to keep in mind that every time we talk about any kind of a profit goal, dollar amount, we are dealing with outcomes, right? And the truth is, we do not control outcomes, right? We do not control which way price is going to go once we enter a trade. What can we control? The only thing we can control is the process, our process. And process includes a lot of things: preparations, tools used, trading plan, leverage, time you trade, risk amount, profit goal, right? All of that is part of the trading plan, right? So, which is part of the process. We control the process, meaning that we control if and when we decide to take on risk. Another way of saying it is enter a trade. We decide the leverage, right? 1 E-mini, 2 E-minis, 3 micros. We decide that. We do not decide which way the market is going to go after we enter a trade. Even risk, by the way, risk is not completely controlled by us. We've all been there. We enter a trade. We want to risk, say, $200. There is a violent, quick move against our position, and because of slippage, we get out at minus $300. So even risk, we only control to a certain extent. So as traders, we always focus on the process because this is what we can control, and we understand that the outcome is always a question mark because we don't control it. Only after we have our process completely down, where it's absolutely second nature, we have our discipline in check, our trading plan is clear, then we can start thinking about our profit goal and in time how to increase this profit goal. And to increase it dramatically, we have to reinvent ourselves. So again, the mind will play a role. We have to rewire our vision, if you will, and in turn, of course, also adjust our process to try and hit those higher profit targets. So to summarize, you will only achieve what you believe is possible. And to achieve next level results, you have to stretch what your mind believes is possible. Because real growth begins where your current limits end. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time.